The Miami Heat just went out and signed a veteran sharpshooter as well as re-signing a big man to add depth to the center position. We'll break down all the moving parts right now on this episode of Heat Digest. So let's get to it and break down Miami's new signings. Well, one of them is new, one of them is a re-sign, obviously, as I just said. But again, let's focus on the new signee, as Alec Burks is the newest member of this Miami Heat squad. Now, this is great and all. Yes, Alec Burks is going to add something to this Miami Heat team, but again, he's not going to be the guy to push the needle and get us over the hump out, especially out east, let alone throughout the entirety of the league. As again, out east, we have Philly, we have New York. Both those teams were really good last year, and they simply got better. Obviously, New York added Bridges from the Nets, and then the Philadelphia 76ers obviously went out and got Paul George, and now they are looking like both those teams are looking very, very good, as well as not even to mention Boston or Orlando, who has really just not only reloaded, but really just got better this offseason. And again, that's only mentioning the teams in the East. Out West, obviously, Minnesota got better, and it is going to be a scary, scary ride if the Miami don't try to go out and make a big splash with the remaining time in this NBA offseason. As again, Alec Burks, yes, a good player, but again, he's not going to really push the needle for this Miami Heat team and add what we really need. Last season, we saw 10.5 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist from Alec Burks, shooting 36.9%. We'll call it 37% from the field, as well as 37.5% from behind the three-point line. He's 6'6". He has great height, great length for the position he'll be playing. But again, 32 years of age. He's not going to be that guy who comes off the bench or even starts for your team, whatever team it may be, and average anywhere from 18 to 30 points a game. That is not who Alec Burks is. He has never really been that player his entirety of his career. I do have his stats for his entirety of his career here. And again, he's played a long career. Yes, it's very illustrious. He was drafted in 2011, and he's been playing since. But again, he's never been that all-star type of player. He's never been the guy who's really going to push the needle for whatever team he's on. He's going to be a good role player. He's going to be a good shooter. But again, he's not the complete package. He's not going to be the all-star type of player that the Miami Heat really, really need to really push us over the hump, to get us over these really massive teams that we're going to have to face, these rivals we're going to have to face in Indiana, who I didn't even mention, who did re-sign Pascal Siakam. Obviously, Cleveland went and re-signed Donovan. And we already mentioned the other biggest three in the East with New York, Boston, and Philly. Again, he's a good player, but again, last year, the biggest recollection we really have of Alec Burks from last season was his stint with the New York Knicks during the playoffs, when they simply just ran out of players due to fatigue and injury, and he had to come in and play good minutes. Obviously, he did play well, and again, that's just being in the sense that he played his role and he stepped up when they needed him. But again, he wasn't a game breaker. He wasn't a guy who was really just going to flip the game on its head and come into the game and really just fill it up with points and really just be the game breaker that the New York Knicks really needed. But again, he was a good player, and I'm just trying to find a way to really enjoy this enjoy this move for the Miami Heat, because again, we have not made a big splash, especially in comparison to the other teams that we are going to be competing against just in a few months in this regular season, let alone in the playoffs. So again, the Miami Heat with a good signing in Alec Burks, but again, it is not going to be the player to push us over the edge. And for the re-signing, it is none other than Thomas Bryant. Yes, we saw him play with the Miami Heat for last year and the year prior, but again, not the guy that sees a lot of minutes, not the guy that really is a game breaker, a stat sheet stuffer. And again, it's going to be interesting. Is he going to get any playing time? Is he going to do anything more than he did last season? Is he going to be a valuable piece to this Miami Heat team? These are all questions we really don't know the answer to, because if we're going off of last season, again, he only started in 4 games. He only played in 38 for this Miami Heat team, and I don't believe he played it all in the playoffs. Again, obviously he did. He played a few minutes, but again, no substantial minutes, and he didn't have any substantial really games, not only during the regular season, but during the playoffs. Obviously, he's a high-energy guy, but again, with that high energy comes with, I don't want to call it clumsiness. I cannot call it clumsiness, but again, you know what I'm trying to say here. He just flamboyant, I guess. He's very volatile, if you'd like to say. Yes, he gives you high energy. He can rebound at a high percentage, but again, he's not going to be able to score the basketball efficiently or effectively, really, for that, unless it's off a lob or any type of putback dunk or layup after an offensive rebound. Not a big offensive threat, but again, a good player, high energy player that's going to come off the bench and fill minutes for this Miami Heat team that's desperately going to need it. In some sense, again, we just re-signed this guy. He's now listed as our fourth string center behind Bam Adebayo, Khalil Ware, and then Kevin Love. Another just interesting signing, to say the least. I don't love either pieces of news that I'm breaking down for you now, because again, as we watch all the teams in the East, and again, just solely focusing on teams in the East, because that's who we have to get through first to get out to the West, and then obviously in the NBA championship face whatever the best representative it is out of the West. We have to get there first, and we have to beat the teams out East, who are only getting better. A team in our division in Orlando has gotten better. Atlanta has arguably gotten better. Again, another team in our division. They got rid of Murray, obviously, but again, Trae Young is still there. They had the first pick in the draft. Seems like they're reloading. Boston, again, we already mentioned, they got better. Again, they didn't add anyone, but they reloaded. They re-signed the players they had to, and again, now they're locked up for however many years until they have to get the band back together. And again, Philly, they already had Embiid and Maxey, who were giving us problems last year. And again, they didn't have that third star. Now they have him. Paul George is now on the squad. And then obviously New York, who was looking scary last year. They lost Randall against us with the dislocated shoulder. And they still had Brunson. They still had Hart, DiVincenzo, all these guys. Hartenstein, all these guys, obviously he went to OKC, but they replaced him with Mikal Bridges from the Brooklyn Nets, who again is an all-star player, a two-way player, a great wing, one of the better wings out of the entire league. It just, the Miami Heat need to go out and make a splash. Go get someone like Marketing. Go and get someone who's really going to push the needle for this Miami Heat team and really flip this team on its head. Obviously, this team is pretty good as constructed now, but we know, at least on paper, it's constructed very well. But again, when we get onto the floor, is Tyler Hero, is Butler, is Rozier all going to be healthy? Are we going to get the 70, are we going to get 65 plus games out of the three players I just mentioned? If that's not the case, we can't really rely on this team. Now, Alec Burks is now our second string point guard. Is that really something we want to have going into the start of this season? Obviously, DeLon Wright walked. I believe he landed in Chicago. This is going to be a very, very interesting season for the Miami Heat if we do continue this path and not go out and sign a big-name player to really push this team over the edge. Because, again, Jimmy, yes, I love Jimmy. You guys know how I feel about it. I don't want to see him moved. I don't believe he'll be moved. We made it to this point without him being moved, in some definitive idea that, or comment from either the Pat Riley or the Miami Heat organization as a total, or even Jimmy Butler, that says he's going to be moved. But again, is he going to be moved? Is he going to stay healthy if he does stay on this Miami Heat team? And again, those question marks rely around Tyler Hero as well. Is he going to be moved? Are we going to hold on to him? If we do hold on to him, is he going to stay healthy? Are we going to get more than 40 games out of him like we only got out of him last season? Again, very, very interesting. I don't really enjoy that the Miami Heat are running the same path as they have in the past, with just in the sense of, hey, let's go out and get a few draft picks, let's sign a few guys to two-way contracts that obviously may get some minutes this up-and-coming season, but again, they're not going to be star players for this Miami Heat team, at least looking from the outside in. Again, we do have some time obviously left in this offseason, and we still have some ways until the next season starts. But again, the Miami Heat are watching these teams get better around them, and again, they still fail to pull the trigger and try to make a big splash in the offseason. Let me know down in the comments what you guys believe about these two, one signing and the other re-signing. Are they going to make this Miami Heat team better? Do you believe these are good signings for the Miami Heat, whether they be small names or not? Do you think this is going to be good moves for the Miami Heat, and do you think it's going to propel us to win more games than we did last season? I'm not the biggest fan of these two moves, but again, they are making the Miami Heat better in some way, because we did need the depth at both positions again. But once again, having Alec Burks as our second string point guard, I don't really know if that's going to be the greatest thing going into matchups with the New York Knicks, with the Boston Celtics, with the Philadelphia 76ers, and anyone out west. But again, that'll be it for this episode of Heat Digest. Let me know in the comments what you guys believe about these moves, and I'll see you guys on the next one.